condiments to Swami with a letter, and so Swami will bless. Swami will bless them, and probably you get a Pada Namaskar also. It's just a means for the birthday boy to get an opportunity. Again, what warden and the student can do is to be able to sit in the front, and of course Swami decides if he should bless you or not. So he called the birthday boys. They were sitting in the front. He blesses all of them, speaks to a few of them, and then he continues to sit, reading a few letters. And then what it looked like, what it looked like from where I was sitting, that he pointed in my direction with his eyes, not with his hands, so that could have been very obvious, asking me to come. This was what I felt personally. Probably everybody feels that all the time when Swami is sitting in front of you. I felt the same way. But I had this urge to at least claim ignorance if I get pulled back, saying, no, Swami called. And at least since Swami was sitting right there, it wouldn't be that bad. Even if I step up, at best Swami will not acknowledge and then you go back. So it would not be as bad as the Sevadal pulling you down, versus you just get embarrassed. So I was ready for it. So I was up on my knees at this point in time, not fully up, but then I was ready to leap forward if again I see an indication. And boys around me were confused. What suddenly happened to you? Don't you know you're not supposed to do this? You should be sitting down unless you're called. I could not explain that no, Swami called, and I was sitting continuously like that, and Swami never looked at me again. So I figured out at one point in time, probably it's not me. But by then, this embarrassment began to become more and more, because people are beginning to talk. I was blocking somebody at the back. So in my head, I was now praying very hard to Swami. Swami, I don't care if you talk to me or not. Just call me till there and scold me and send me back. Because these kids will not know what you did to me. They will at least think you acknowledge me, or I am your devotee, so you called me, and so on. So I had to get over this embarrassment. So I was praying, Swami, call me. I will just come there, get scoldings and go back. Or you just look at me, just make sure they all think you spoke to me. Even if you don't speak to me, it's okay. From this angle, it just needs to look like we both did something when I step up. So that was my intention. I was getting fully ready, because this embarrassment is getting more and more on me, and Swami did not call. And I resigned to myself and saying, okay, this is not going to happen. I will live like this, and probably this I will remain a joke of tonight at the dinner place when we all go back, saying this boy has no idea what's going on. He thinks too much of himself. Just when I have given up on myself, Swami looked towards my side and signaled little more obviously towards probably me at this point in time to come. I was ready until now, and now I am not. Because I knew almost for certain, if this is not going to be it, I will be crucified tonight. So it's not going to go very well my way at all. If now I step up and Swami says, no, not you, the boy next to you, because I've already created enough nuisance. Now I better be right, or I better not be there at all in the picture. So I did not move, and then Swami had to ask for, because I was holding a letter, it's more than me, probably he was asking for the letter. And then he asks for me to come. And then the boys next to me push me and ask me to go. Two things before I narrate further. One, this happens again to most of us, and probably all of us at one point in time or other. We are more worried about the creation than the Creator. We all have got caught up as to what will he think, what will she think, what am I doing in this social setting? Am I doing the right thing according to 10,000 people you don't know? Versus, am I doing the right thing with the God you know, who is so close to you? Lesson number one. Lesson number two, you seem ready every time you think you are. You call yourself a devotee because you attend every Sunday, or you do whatever is written in the paper, whatever your president asks you to do. But then when Swami, when the God is ready to call you, you are not ready. So how important is your readiness so far when you're actually not ready at the moment of truth? So I was pushed and I went up to Swami. I was very happy. Again, the happiness is not that Swami called you. The happiness is the relief, the tension that I have built up on myself so far, that I now can live peacefully for the rest of my day and probably for the rest of days to come, because I do not have this burden of embarrassment from anyone else. And as I walk to Swami, I pass on my letter. And if I get an opportunity with time, I probably narrate something with the letters as well. But let's not go into this letter in particular, but I did offer this letter to Swami. And there are 3-4 things that could happen with a letter whenever you give a letter. One, Swami takes the letter and leaves. 2, Swami takes the letter and asks you to go. Both of them seem pretty straightforward and easy. The third one is a difficult one. Swami takes your letter and begins to open it right in front of you. Then you're accountable for everything you have written. Probably, if time permits, you might even have to explain what you have written, which you most of the time are not ready for, because you must have asked the silliest of the things. And when you go so close to Swami, you realize, no, I shouldn't have mentioned to Swami about the tap leaking in the bathroom. But that's what you've written there, because that was really bothering you. So I go up to Swami and he opens this letter. And I have what I thought was a good habit so far, is to not to repeat a letter. So meaning if I give a letter to Swami, I attempt to give a letter to Swami and Swami does not take it, I do not repeat that letter once again tomorrow. Rather, I shred it or I keep it somewhere in my cupboard and write a fresh letter. You always have something to write to Swami. But today, unfortunately, is not one such day. We were really in a hurry as we were leaving the hostel, so I had to pick up what I had in the hostel, in my cupboard, in a little altar that I made in my cupboard. There were a few letters that I have piled up over time that Swami did not take. I have more letters he did not take than he has. So I picked up one of them, thought I will see what I've written and maybe rewrite from another book, or my plan was to do something with that letter or just have it sometimes as a prop to help you go up sometimes. And this is the letter that Swami started to open. And I have seriously no clue what I have written in this letter, because I have written long ago. I don't even have an idea of what could be there in the letter. So Swami is reading from the other side, and I am sitting on the other side and trying to see what I have written with the little trace that I can make out from the other side of the letter. Unfortunately for me, that's a very thick paper, so I'm not able to read myself very well or get the trace. And Swami continues to read it, like I have written so much and so important things. I'm sure I did not. And to my relief, he did not ask me quite what is in the letter, but he rather started to ask about my grandfather and my family and so on. And that was easy questions to answer, and I of course, thought I gave decent answers to every question Swami asked. And then I sat down right there. Swami is still, you put my letter aside, but then reading other letters. And he did not ask me to go yet. So you would not go. You would stay there as long as you can. You would really not want to go. So I stayed there as long as I could, until at least I thought he or anyone else around him, the boys, had asked me to go. You are here for too long. But that did not happen. So I was sitting on my knees for very long, and then slowly I settled down. Meaning I really sat there like you sitting here. It looked very good. I was very happy. Again, Swami is not looking at me. He isn't talking to me. He's doing his own thing. But I was very happy that everyone can see me very well. And incidentally, my parents were there, so I was just looking for them, like I'm still looking at Swami. But yeah, can you see me? So we can talk about it in the evening. So these were the things that are going on in my head. And then Swami suddenly turns towards me and says something, probably the most unexpected thing, at least from my side. He says, "Poyi matladu," go and speak, was what it literally means. So though I categorically understand what Swami meant by it, I again was nowhere ready for a talk. And before that day, I have never spoken in front of Swami in Kulwant Hall. So I was scared to do that, and I never was ready for it, and there were people ready. So my idea back to Swami, then I wanted to tell, was Swami, okay, thank you for the offer, but there are other boys actually waiting for this. So I will leave now and send them, or something like that was going on in my head. And as I approached Swami to tell this, he says, Poi Matladu. Even before I understood Poi Matladu, whatever I should be doing, the boys around him, they are usually very fast in understanding Swami and his signal. So as soon as he finished telling me, there is already a podium and a mic brought and put just next to Swami. So now it's very clear to me as to what is expected of me. I still did not move from there because I would, of course, I can walk until the podium, but then what would I do after I go there? So now I want to tell Swami, okay, thank you for your offer. I'm not going to call someone else because your plan is me, but this would be a serious embarrassment for you. So let's call this off. It's okay, the podium will remain there, or you can ask someone else to speak, or just start bhajans and people will not mind it. Again, this is what I plan to tell Swami, because this would be seriously embarrassing for Swami when Swami is sitting there, Kulwant Hall full of people, nearly 30,000, 40,000 people, and then me going up absolutely unprepared. He wouldn't look at me anymore, the instruction is clear, and the boys around him are now signaling to me, move from here and go to the podium. And I had to slowly walk from behind Swami's chair and go up to the podium and stand. As I stood, I got an idea. Another idea to escape. I stood at the podium already. And now I thought, okay, let me ask Swami something. So you have to go back to Swami with something. So I came back to Swami the same way I went, and everybody is surprised watching me. And then I knelt again, and Swami looked at me and said, Swami, chinna prashna. I have a small question. And then Swami says, okay, ask. He didn't say, but he nodded his head. And then I said, Swami, how much time do you want me to speak? Like if you have said, speak till I tell you to stop, I was ready, I was not. And that was the question I asked, and that's exactly the answer that came back to Swami. Poi matladu nen cheptanu. Go and speak, I will tell you. It's meaning there is no near end now. I can't stop in 5 or 10 or 15 minutes now. I have to wait until he tells. So I thought, what a bad question I asked. I shouldn't have asked, so I could have come back as fast as I wanted now. I still would go and do what? So I sat there for a little more time and then thought of a second question. And so I asked, on what topic would you want me to speak? Like I could speak on anything that he would give me. And now Swami is a bit, he made his eyes wider and said, Poi Matladu, go and speak. And then I went to the podium. The easiest part of it, I did Om Shri Sai Ram, as slow as Om Shri Sai Ram can ever be said. And then I offered my humble pranams for next 2-3 minutes again, as slow as I could in both the languages I knew. And then I do not know what to do. So I looked at Swami, and Swami by now is completely lost. Meaning he is closing his eyes with his mudra in his hand, and he is what he looked like from where I looked at Swami, that there is something very important going on the stage, or something very serious and interesting being said, and he's enjoying it. And now I couldn't look at him also anymore. So I turned to Mike, and then the prayer of desperation kicked in. To myself, I prayed within, just like the magic 5 words Gajendra did, Bhagavan nive tappa itat param beruga mannam padagundirani. Pardon me for all the sins I have committed. Pardon me for all the mistakes I have committed. I will never repeat any of them again. Please save me for this minute. I have no one else but you. This is a prayer I had within, which is what I'm sure most of us do as well. And as I finish my prayer, I do not know what I spoke to date, but I spoke for next 20 to 25 minutes. And all I remember after I finished my talk is the roaring applause that I would get from the audience, and I am back to Swami's chair, sobbing in gratitude for taking care of this. And I am not able to speak to Swami for the sound that this applause would create. And I knew from within that it is Swami who has spoken and not me. Because I, to date, cannot tell you what I spoke. And I tried asking many people in the audience, how did I speak? What did I speak? You spoke excellent. I could not content-wise get to today, one person, these are the 5-6 points that you mentioned, these were very good. I asked my teachers, I asked my friends, everybody would say it's very well, and you quoted Swami very well, you quoted a poem very well. Did I do all that? What poem was it? We have no clue what poem, but it sounded very good. And I knew for myself that it is God taking care of you when you surrender to Him and when you cry out, God, I have no one else but you. Now, I am here in front of Swami expressing my gratitude. I am crying inconsolably. I'm sitting at Swami's feet after coming back from the podium and would cry and cry and cry. Hey, man, my Sai starts to cry, and it's quite loud and it's quite odd in that setting. So the boys next to Swami do not want me there anymore. Your job is done, go. They are pushing me away, and I wouldn't leave Swami's chair. I'm holding the chair and falling on Swami's knee and starting to cry. And they were worried probably that my tears would wet Swami's robe, and they were pushing me even further away. And at least Swami was not asking me to go, or he was not minding me doing what I was doing. And then I tell Swami, Swami, thank you so much. Chala dhanyavadamu, Swami. Swami, thank you so much for this. And then Swami leans forward and tells me this. Nenu cheppinappudu cheyi, nenu chuskuntanu. When I tell you something, just do it. I will take care of it. Now, Swami has given us many messages. Now, if all of us wait, this is again Swami's quotation. He said, if all of you wait for me to come and tell you personally so you will start transformation of your life, it would take lifetimes, Bangaru. That is why I have chosen this forum to give public talks. When I talk, if you have heard me in any form, any forum, any media, it means I have willed it that you will listen to this. And if I have willed it that you listen to this talk of mine, I have also willed it that you practice. I have given you the courage, the confidence, and the resources that you need to practice this message of mine. So if any of the message that we have heard of Swami through any form, any media, any forum, it means Swami has spoken to us. Swami has told us what to do. It is us choosing to delay, giving all the excuses, using the intellects that the scientists and the aerodynamic specialists have used to declare that the bee could not fly, while the bee innocently and ignorantly flies every day, proving every one of them wrong. Talking of his omnipresence, Bhagavan, we know, is omnipresent. We say as a matter of fact, God is omnipresent, God is omnipotent, God is omniscient. But how many of us reflect on what does this really mean? What could omnipresence mean? Omnipresence literally means He is everywhere. Now, if He is everywhere, if that is the belief we all hold, He is very much here. Would we do exactly what we are doing right now if we can actually physically see Him here? No. We would do a lot differently. Probably we would all get dressed differently, get ready differently, look at the whole program differently. Our readiness mentally, physically would all be at a different level if we could see Swami. The fact we don't see Him is the fact why we do what we do, why we give importance at a level that we think it deserves or it deems fit. Now, if you go back to God is omnipresent, and we all believe that God is omnipresent, this very behavior, for lack of a better word, from all of us is a point in proving that we do not believe God is omnipresent. Conveniently, not that we do not believe, we conveniently forget that God is omnipresent. I'm reminded of an incident at this juncture that happened years ago. Again, if you could go back to the very first picture, if you look at Prashantinalayam, the Kulwant Hall, if you see on top, there is this little roof, as you can see, between the two concrete structures on either side. Right in front of the Gopuram is a little roof that you should be able to see. It's not a regular roof, it's made of fiber or plastic or some such synthetic material. And this was one evening, a perfect evening again, that you would not think any natural calamity or any weather-related issues would come that day at all. It's a perfect day, as we say here. So Swami comes out in the evening, and Swami was walking those days. So he comes out and he talks to a lot of devotees. There is, if I recall correctly, a dignitary from the Sri Lankan government that day, that there was a lot of security in the students' area and in Prashantinalayam. And Swami comes to receive them, he receives them, he goes into the interview room. After they leave around 3:30 or 4, and Swami comes out around 4 o'clock, and he's standing again where he usually stands, right in front of Ganesha. That's a little veranda that is slightly elevated from the rest of Kulwant Hall. So if someone standing at that level can have a very good view of all of Kulwant Hall, and people sitting in Kulwant Hall can see whoever is standing there very well. So Swami is standing there right in front of Ganesha, and he is, I would again, I could be wrong, it could be Vedam or music. One of them is going on the PA system, and Swami is standing there and swaying to the music or enjoying the Vedam. One of them standing right there, holding his hands back. I still remember his pose. And he was talking to a few kids. He called a few, and I would think it's a Sunday evening, so there were even the primary school children on the right-hand side. So the extreme right-hand side, you would see the little children there, all from the primary school. And primary school children, Swami really enjoys talking to them, and Swami was calling them and talking to them, and the little boys were explaining to Swami things in the hostel and so on. It's a beautiful sight to see. As all this was going on, Swami, while he was all alone, there were no students around him, looked up at this roof. Now that could mean anything. Now, before I continue, in Prashantinalayam, especially with students, this is a thing of pride if you can decode Swami's sign language faster than the rest of them. Because not every time Swami tells you exactly what he wants. So, for example, Swami wets his lips a couple of times, you offer water. Not that he wants water every time, but it's an acceptable. At least he will not scold you then for giving water to him. It's okay to offer water, and probably he will tell you he doesn't need it, or he might take. As soon as Swami materializes Vibhuti and gives someone, it's okay to run and give a handkerchief to Swami, so he wipes his hand. So there are certain things that Swami does as a routine, as he conducts himself, that you begin to see and code. So when he looks in the direction of Swami's residence, the car comes into picture. So Swami doesn't physically ask, bring the car, but the car can come. So there are certain things like this that are perfectly okay to do, and who among the students guesses this fast? Nobody gives you a prize, but then you feel that much more closer to Swami, because I understand him, you did not. So this was a thing in the students, and of course, though Swami never acknowledged it, I to myself have felt that I have understood him the best. So much so that actually I had one to my credit, the Swami did acknowledge. So, but other than that, Swami never did, but I to myself have felt that Swami, I understand him very well, all his sign language, because what else you could do when you sit in front of him and you're not one of the best students. All you have to do is to look at Swami whenever he's there. If your botheration is studies as well, probably you would be studying or thinking of something else when you're looking at Swami. But other than that, you have only one job, that is to keep looking at Swami. So on this day, he looks up at the roof, and probably it's a thing to many of you today, I might be telling for the first time, or you might be hearing it for the first time, is that roof on top that you see actually moves. So I've heard it in the past, but I have never seen it myself. And many, of course, in the students have not seen it also until that day. But I know that it moves for a fact. So literally like a convertible car. The whole roof until half of this block where you see these students can actually go back, roll on the wheels and go back, opening this entire block that you see in front of the Ganesha statue open to sky. So, but that whole big fiber ceiling makes a lot of noise as it rolls back. These are wheels that are not oiled every day, but it's once in a while that it moves and it makes huge noise. So I sit here, look at Swami. Everybody else looked at Swami too as he looked up in the sky. I make my own. This is my thing starting now. So now Swami has said something. None of these people have understood. I have understood. Now I need to execute. What have I understood? Swami wants the roof to be open. This could be absolutely dangerous if it goes wrong, because it's not going to go smoothly. It's going to make a lot of noise and grab everyone's attention. So if Swami has not said it, or if the outside weather isn't good, or if it's too windy, or as soon as they open all the leaves fall in, anything can happen and that could really go the wrong way. And I am sitting in a strategic position at that point in time that has a good view of the front and also good view of the side of the Prashant Nilayam, the gent side, which is where the motor and probably the buttons for all of this movement, all of it is there. So I really have a good view of both. So I am trying to see if anyone else gets this, so I need not do it, but I have understood it anyway. That's all is my happiness. I do not want anyone to acknowledge it. I do not want to open it. I just want people to now open it because they have understood late after me. So I'm waiting for someone to actually go and do it, and time passes. 5-10 minutes and Swami looks up again. This time he spends little more time looking at it, and in my head I registered it as, I have told you to open it long ago, why have you not opened yet? Swami has not said it, this is what is going on in my head. And time passes, Swami still is standing there, listening to music, swaying, standing there. So now it's building up in me that Swami has said something. He isn't doing the second thing, so he's literally waiting for this. Now here is God of gods. He need not tell you letter by letter what he expects you to do. It's up to you and up to your wisdom to understand what he wants and do it even ahead of what he would ask you for. So I am getting more and more convinced from within that I should do something. But the consequences of this thing going wrong can be disastrous. As disastrous as all of my hostel mates helping me pack my bags and putting in the bus tonight. So it could be that bad. But I still couldn't settle with myself. So I wanted to play it safe. So I told friends next to me, you see, Swami wants it open, so please pass on the message. So my intention is when the message goes to the boy who has to press the button, he has no clue where it came from. And then I can always tell, well, somebody told me. But I did this, but the message didn't seem to go very far because I keep seeing where it is going and somebody did not tell or somebody didn't think it is useful, or like the Chinese whisper, by the time it went, it became something else. So nobody did anything. So I had to adopt resort 2. So I wrote on a piece of paper. Again, if I write it very clearly with my name and my handwriting, people can find out. So I curved it backwards, though I usually curved it rightward. Now I curved it left and wrote, the roof need to be opened now. Swami said so, something like that, and passed this on. And again, it moved few boys and it did not really go that far. Somebody felt it is useless and crumpled it and threw it aside. Swami is still standing there. And the roof is not open. So this time, I move from where I was sitting. Probably, which I will come to later. I move from where I was sitting, go to a vantage point, exactly a place where in that angle, the people sitting beyond that angle cannot see Swami, and those who are sitting this side can see Swami. So it's that angle. If you can draw a line across that building, Swami is standing here. So after a point, you cannot see Swami if you're standing or sitting on the other side of the building. Now I stand on this side where I still can see Swami and tell people on the other side, the roof needs to be open. Now, I have an advantage. Advantage is that I am on this side. They are not on this side. So probably it is true because I can see and tell they cannot see. So now I carry more weight because I also looked like a messenger from this side because I just moved and came. It seemed like from them that I passed on a message that actually came from Swami to somebody here. So now it gained importance. I feel very happy because this boy is getting activated as I'm talking to him and he's ready to go tell someone else. So the message went to the right person. This button, not everyone knows where it is because it doesn't get pressed every day. So they have to call someone has to call someone has to call someone. And finally that one that had to press the button had come. Now this man has no idea. I'm watching all of this. But this man has no idea who brought this message and is it confirmed for sure because he's already late. He's tensed that he is late and he's ready to press the button. He just needs one last confirmation. Absolutely sure. And then he goes in. And that's sure somebody did. And the button is pressed. And this huge roof now starts to make this noise. And these wheels go slowly and slowly and slowly. Swami is still standing there. He looks up at this whole thing going back, and as it completely goes, Swami looks down, smiles, and blesses and leaves. The evening session is not over. All that happened so far is the roof is open. Swami was physically present when the roof is open. He heard all of the sound. He put up with it. He hasn't said a word. And he went back inside the interview room. 4:30 p.m. we're talking about. Now nobody has a clue who and where this message came from. Since Swami did not acknowledge in the opposite, it's all going smoothly now. Nobody wants to find out really where this came from because, otherwise Swami would have said what, and he would have been surprised, or he would have asked who. Nothing of that sort happened. So everything is going smoothly. I am happy with myself that this is successful and Swami acknowledged. And see, I am telling myself, you see, I am still the best at catching Swami's sign language. Probably, in hindsight, as I look at it, this message must have come from someone else too, simultaneously. But this is my effort that I am talking about from this side of it. Probably this message was going else, somebody else also must have understood by then. Something unexpected that you would not think would happen on this day began to happen. The clouds began to gather. The whole scene, because this is a fiberglass, though it's not see-through, but you can feel the weather outside. So it was bright so far, especially because it's open, and Kulwanthala, as you see, is open from all the sides at a distance. So it's usually very bright, and suddenly it turned gloomy because of the clouds. And then a thunder, and then a few drops, and then downpour. Downpour. And all of that so far when it rains is that it makes good sound because it falls on this fiber or synthetic glass, and you enjoy it. That's all anybody must have ever experienced sitting in Kulwanthala. For the first time, water in Kulwanthala. And buckets and buckets of it. It's pouring. And right here, look at how many students sitting on an average day. That is the number of students that are getting wet. And this is actually a slope. So the water is going in every direction it can. And now the teachers have a task. The students should not be getting wet. And nobody can close that because that was opened by Swami. So the teachers were making arrangements for the boys to leave from there so they can actually sit in a dry place. And the boys would refuse to go because Swami opened it and the water is falling on me, so why are you denying me the water that Swami wants to fall on me? So I will not leave from here. So the boys are sitting there and getting wet. Now if Swami comes out, it's going to be chaotic. Now that's not all, and the books are getting wet. So people are passing the books back, so keep my books somewhere at the back, but I want to get wet today, and when Swami comes out, I want to make a big scene. Swami, you see Swami, I got wet for you. So nobody's moving. And as this water is going on the sides, the Sevadal are in Prashantinalayam, they all come from the sides now. Whoever is manning whatever gate, everybody is in with cloth, sponge, mop, whatever you can pick up so you can dry it. It's falling, so there is no stop to it. It's like some 100 taps let loose into Prashantinalayam. So whatever they do, water is coming and coming and coming. So and there are boys sitting there, so you have very little room to even arrest the situation. But then there were like 20, 30, 40 people working on arresting water, making more Prashantinalayam wet. And while all this is going on, I am sitting in a very dry place because I'm very far.